and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes Podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a nitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing very well. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I am okay, though I do like a bit of sleep, so if I look slightly... Oh yes, my eyes don't look good, I'm sorry. But yes, I am okay, though I just had a couple of agitated nights. But yes, I have quite a few lovely things to share with you for this episode. I have 2 pattern releases to announce, one of which is really important, and you have never seen the project before because it was secret. So I will tell you all about that. I also have some knitting projects to share, some you already know, some you don't. And I also want to talk about my next personal project, because as you will see, I am almost done with my current personal project. So, and I have really pretty yarn to share. So, yeah, that is the program for this week's episode. You can find timestamps to everything that I talk about in the description down below. So if you want to skip anything, feel free to jump ahead. I will also put links to everything that I talk about, as well on my social media, patterns for sale on Ravelry, and through making things. So... yeah, let's get started. I'm gonna go right away with a very important thing that I have to announce, which is a pattern release. So let me do a little bit of background for you. I think quite some time ago I talked about Les Chevaux Solidaires, which is a French sort of event in the knitting community to support a charity. It is founded by Lily, who is the mother of Gaia, who happens to suffer from a rare genetic disease, which causes fibrous dysplasia. I apologize for my pronunciation of any medical terms. And basically, it's been a year now. Designers and yarn dyers and brands have been collaborating to support this charity. The concept is that every month a designer or two come up with a pattern specifically designed for the challenge, and an indie dyer or a yarn brand also puts out special dedicated skeins of yarn for this. So the idea is that for the month of when the pattern is released, all the profits from the pattern and some profits from the yarn sales will go towards Les Chevaux Solidaires, which is the sort of association. It's basically transit for the actual association, which is MASFD. I hope I'm not messing the order of the letters, which is the French association fighting to find a cure for this disease. And so I mentioned it in the past because the designer I really appreciate, Marie-Amélie, put out a pattern, I believe it was in May, for this little charity. And so I shared it because I really liked the pattern that she did, and I wanted to talk about this in English because I am aware that it's still a very French charity event, so I wanted to let people know. And, well, you probably have guessed what happened. A few months ago, Lily contacted me asking if I wanted to be a part of this, and I was very grateful to be considered and very excited to contribute. Also because I got to collaborate with Angélique, which is the dyer behind the woolly skein. I believe I showed you the yarn as I was working on the design without telling you who it was. But yes, now is the time for all reveal. So I came out with this design, which is the Riala shawl. So it's a crescent-shaped shawl that only uses one skein of yarn, and the idea is to maximize that skein. So as you can see, it's still fairly long. This is only 400 meters of yarn. It is knit with the woolly skein yarn in her fingers crossed base, which is 100% superwash merino, and the colorway I used is Boys and Berry, which is this gorgeous plum, and it's a really lovely plump fingering weight with good structure and drape, which is really good for what I did. The shaping of the shawl implies that you have lots of increases to the sides, which allows it to have quite a decent length, even though it is only 400 meters. And it is a fairly simple design because it has mostly, like, the body of the shawl is in garter stitch, and then you have this lace border, which I'm going to try to show as much as possible. There you go. Which is sort of a leafy pattern. Took me quite a while to modify it to get what I wanted, but there you go. And you can block it so that every little leaf make this picot edge. So that is the pattern I came up with for Les Chevaux Solidaires, and which translate to the charity scheme. And so basically the pattern is now available on Ravelry. I will put the link in the description down below, and all the benefits from the pattern for the month of February will go towards Les Chevaux Solidaires and the research for a cure for this disease. And yeah, I'm just showing you that I'm not lying. It is quite long for a one skein shawl, and yes, obviously it doesn't really go with my wool and honey sweater, but there you have it. Angelique, so the wool skein, the dyer, will obviously have skeins in her shop for you to check out if you want to support as well by buying yarn. That is also a possibility. But yes, I hope you like it. It is named Riala, which is the Occitan word for laughter, which I thought was a beautiful word and appropriate for such a design, which yeah. So yeah, I will put the link to the pattern in the description down below. Like I said, it will be clearly written on the pattern page as well, in case I didn't express myself quite well enough. You will have all the information about the charity that I will be donating to in the pattern page on Ravelry. And yes, so the pattern is very simple. There is an option to add beads to the lace, and that was from a suggestion of one of my testers who asked me if she could do it. She is Genjie on Ravelry, and she contacted me asking me if she could add beads, and I said obviously that was amazing, and I loved her version so much that I asked her if she would be okay with me incorporating a beaded option in the pattern. So in case you're a person who likes incorporating beads in your knitting, there is an alternative chart with beads on it, so that you can work the border however you like. Obviously it is customizable size-wise, so in case you want to use more yarn, I give indications as to how much yarn you need to keep for the lace border in terms of percentage of the yarn that you have. So yeah, I hope you like it. I really do. It's a really simple but effective design, I found, and I worked on it and it went so fast because I was so, well, happy to be a part of this lovely movement, and excited, I have to say, by the color, because I really love it, and by this little leaf motif. So yeah, I believe I said everything that I wanted to. All links will be in the description down below. But yes, that is the little announcement I was mentioning quite a few times in the past, and yeah, it was completely secret. It was really hard to keep from you, but yeah, I'm really excited to hear what you think of the design and for you to check the testers version, which are absolutely delightful. So yeah, that is the Riala shawl. Now I have another pattern release that you might have seen if you follow me on Instagram. Now these you have seen in the past, so I will not go into too much details over it, but I published the Osvaldo socks on Ravelry. These are named Osvaldo after the cartoonist who drew, the Italian cartoonist who drew La Linea, which is a little cartoon that I don't know if any non-European people might would have seen it on their TV, but it was airing on TV when I was a child. It's basically a cartoon where you have a blue background and you have someone drawing lines and a little character who speaks gibberish, and basically the whole thing is to watch him progress in the drawings, and the cartoonist will be a little bit cheeky and put an obstacle or a hole, and the little character would just stand in front of the hole and yell at the cartoonist like, draw me something to move. And yeah, that was a really sweet and funny show, and I really like it. And since it's called La Linea, which means the line, and this pattern is full of lines, I thought it was matching. So it's a very simple sock pattern, which would work with variegated or speckled or, like here, tweed yarns. And yeah, it's just simple textures and details basically. So you have a garter rib cuff with a lateral braid that you join in the round, and I have made a video tutorial that is on the pattern for this. Jogless stripes, so I share my method to have a jogless, which side is it? To have a neater edge when you change colors, and then you have simple lines, vertical and horizontal, of pearls. And yeah, they're fairly minimalistic socks, but I find them really nice to work. The pattern is really intuitive. As usual, I put 2 heel options in my patterns, so there's the heel flap and gusset and a German short row heel. And yeah, I think if you'd like to start making socks, this is a fairly simple design. So yes. And there we are with my pattern releases. I have been working on a new design because I have finished my sonnet sweater, which I showed you in the previous episode. I will not show it to you again. It is now in testing, so I will talk about it and show it to you once more once it's released. But I have been working on the next design, and I have finished it. Now one half of it is still drying, so I only have one half to show you, but it is, yay. So these are the Prisos mittens. So you may remember that in December I released a pattern called the Prisos hat, which is a colorwork hat with this motif. And someone, Manon, suggested that I would I could make colorwork mittens to match, because it was really fitting, and indeed, and so I made it. And I am really happy with it. So let me show you the paw. I'm going to take it off so you can see better. This is the paw motif. This is the thumb. Look at this. And yeah, I basically combined a bunch of different techniques that I have tried for colorwork mittens, and try to replicate them and adapt them to my gauge and to what I wanted the pattern to look like. So it was a bit tricky to get everything right, but I'm really happy with the result. So there's a ribbed cuff with a jogless stripe in the middle. There's a thumb gusset, because I do feel that a thumb gusset fits much better when the thumb is on the inside. I have knit Latvian mittens, and although I like them, they used a simple afterthought thumb without a gusset, and it's okay for my hands because my fingers and hands tend to be long and rather slender. I have creepy hands, as I like to say, but I can see how if your hand is put differently, it might be really uncomfortable not to have a gusset. So I put a gusset, and I decided to write in the pattern as much details as possible as to what you need to do to leave the thumb opening. So that is regarding how many stitches you put on hold, how many stitches you cast on, and what color stitches you cast on, because I often found that the pattern will tell you cast on that many stitches, but they won't tell you which color to use, and that might not matter, but I just, maybe I'm just some really psycho-rigid freak, but I really wanted the cast on here. So you need the thumb gusset, you put the stitches on hold, and you cast on new stitches. This is typical Scandinavian, Norwegian type mitten construction, and you cast on new stitches for the palm. And so I really wanted the cast on colors to match, and so I wrote you need to cast on 3 main color, 1 contrast color, this and this, because I thought that was clearer. And I also tried to make it super clear when you pick up for the thumb what colors you need to do. So I did the right mitten, and then I did the left mitten following my instructions and refining them, and I think it's good. I will call for testers soon, so if you like the design, it's fairly quick to knit. It's a DK weight mittens. I need to finish writing the pattern details, but I will probably call for testers on Instagram really soon, so in case you're interested, keep an eye out on Instagram. Yeah, I basically was doing one in a day once I figure out all the silly details. And things like, maybe I'm giving away too much of my patterns, like a month before they come out, but whatever, I just like sharing silly details like this. When you're decreasing on the top, I wanted the line to be neat, and so yeah, I just made sure that you always had a contrast, because you have this contrast color line that goes all around here, and it's in the thumb as well here, because I wanted the gusset to be like the gusset. You see it, so that it's very clear what you're doing in terms of the motif. And so I wanted this line to be consistent at the top of the mitten where you decrease, and so I made sure that you always had a color of the same stitch color. That is not, you understood what I mean. The stitches of the same color of the decrease under the decrease, so that it's neat, basically, and you don't see in the decrease that I have one white and one purple stitch in the decrease. It's just purple stitches that do the decrease. That are the decreased stitches, and the decreasy stitches, the stitches that result from the decrease. Hope that makes sense. So yes, I translated the Prisos motif, which is this sort of, I don't know what it is, but it is a thing. And yeah, that's what I did. I added some blips just to not have too much long floats. You basically have to cast on to cast on. To catch your floats here on the first one, and I did it as well in these parts because I was a bit I was very concerned about my tension because I wanted it to look super nice because it's a design. But yeah, basically it's still a fairly simple colorwork motif. And yeah, I am going to write the pattern, and I hope to make it as good as possible, taking what I really like from all mittens pattern I have followed, whether it is Scandinavian mittens like the one Skander knits does, or Latvian mittens, or other types of mittens, that even those who have a side thumb. Yeah, I have done a mashup of all the techniques, and yeah, I hope you will enjoy it. In any case, I really like them. As far as yarn, I used leftovers. These are wool butt yarns, which is sport/DK weight, and drops Lima in white, and the white is the wool butt yarn and the purple is a drops Lima. Yay! The left mitten is drying, and I hope it's going to end up being the same size. I'm always yeah, I think that was the main fitting point, to make sure basically that the top part of the mitten is long enough so that you sit naturally here, and it's not like it's not like this, you know. So yes, for my hand they're comfortable, there's some room, like my regular small colorwork project. I will put help on how to get different sizes, so yeah, but this should fit easily. If you modify a little bit your gauge, you will be able to tweak things a bit if you want smaller hands or bigger hands, more comfort or snugger feet. Even though although I like a really snug fit for fingerless mittens, for these it's good to be able to move a little bit. So yes, the Prisos mittens, I will be getting to that very soon. And yes, the next project I want to share with you is my personal project. So if you don't know what I'm doing, I am basically trying to respect a nice schedule of working on designs and then working on one personal project, keeping my whip count at a minimum. So the project I have been working on is my For Fox's Sake sweater, which is a pattern from Maxim Cyr, which I have showed last time, and I don't really remember where I was last time. I believe I did a very long rant on the color work, working with 3 colors, color dominance, blah blah blah. So let me show you, because progress has been done. I did all of this. So as you can see, I will explain what the hell that is soon. It's ugly. Don't look at it. I finished the colorwork yoke. Yay! So this is a sweater I am knitting for my boyfriend, and I finished the yoke and I blocked it to reassure myself basically about the look of the colorwork, because like I mentioned, this is a 3 colors with increases in the middle of the floats colorwork, and I wasn't really happy with my tension, so I wanted to reassure myself, and blocking did. It's not my neatest job, but it's good enough. As you can see, sometimes you have a blip, but it's okay. It's mostly okay, and it does look very good from afar, and it's not like anyone will see the defaults besides I. And yeah, I finished the yoke. I started knitting on the body, but before that I decided to make the sleeves so that they would be done. So I made both sleeves, and I did modify them because, like I said, this sweater is for my boyfriend. I am knitting the second size, which should give me about 100 centimeter ease. Now, I don't want it to be too loose on my boyfriend, but the thing is, my boyfriend and I have been changing size-wise, and so while a few months ago I was able to tell from how something fitted me how it would fit my boyfriend, and now I am not so sure anymore, because my bust size increased, his bust size increased, and so if you don't know, my boyfriend we are long distance, so I don't know. I can't have him try it on, and so yeah, I was a bit. At first, I thought, like when I was starting the color work, I thought, oh, this is too small. So yeah, I fixed my gauge, and now I'm on gauge, and then I blocked the thing, and I started trying it on, and it looked humongous, huge, and so I was a bit afraid that it would be too loose, and that because I don't want it to look sloppy. Basically, it's kind of a hipster kind of trendy sort of thing. So if it's too loose on a man, I don't think it would, and my boyfriend would not like it anyway. So the main thing was, there were two things. One was that the sleeves are really big. Two, the neck opening was really wide. And basically what it did is that because the neck opening was really wide, and you see what I'm wearing, I like high necks, okay? I even like raised necks. But yeah, here the sleeve opening was really wide, and so basically it was dropping, and so the yoke was coming quite down, and I didn't I basically separated just after I completed the color work. So the sleeve was quite low and the opening was really big. So I modified that. I started decreasing right away. The pattern tells you to knit even for like 6 centimeters. I didn't. I started the decreases from the armhole down, and now the sleeves are look nice on me. The second thing I did is I decided to finish the neckline first, and I picked up way less stitches than recommended. Basically, you're supposed to pick up 1 stitch per cast on stitch, so you basically have the same amount of stitches. I picked up 2 stitches out of 3, so yeah, I have a much tighter neckline, which lifted the whole thing, which makes it fit much better now. And yeah, I hope my boyfriend would like this. I did a stretchy bind off. The bind off that I use is the one where you knit two together through the back loop. Basically, that's the stretchy bind off I use because I think it looks okay. It doesn't look as bad as Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off when I do it. Yes, and I didn't have short rows on the back neck. The pattern has short row under the collar work, which elevates the back a little bit. But I originally thought I would add short rows here as well to make that a little bit more. But since I, like I said, tightened the neckline, I didn't need to in the end. It looks like it's going to fit okay. Now obviously, since the yoke was blocked, and it was blocked not in the good position, like I think I blocked it that way, so you can see it's, yeah, it has some bumps in the front and in the back where it shouldn't have, but it looks like it's going to be okay. So I am really eager to reblock the whole thing so everything is in harmony and looks smooth and hopefully is not huge. I am using Derero Natura Ulysse, which is a woolen spun sport weight yarn, and it's absolutely lovely. It does great in color work. does not grow, it just gets smoother and softer and drapier, and so I should not have bad surprises size-wise. But yeah, floats are awful in this pattern, but yeah, I just need to finish the body. As you can see, this is where I am. I need to measure and make sure that I get the right length for the body. Now, lastly, this I sort of weaved some yarn here so that my boyfriend would know that this is the back, because he's not going to be able to tell that there are short rows here. So yeah, I did that so that it would kind of look like a label. Yes, I could have bought a pretty label, but all the labels, all the fabric labels I could find, they have things like handmade by me, made with love. And yes, it's made with love, but it's a bit cheesy. So, sorry. So, I just decided to do that, even if it looks ugly, but it's on the inside. And yes, I'm the type of person who would rather do something ugly than be cheesy. I'm not sure how good of a principle that is, but that's how it is. And yes, so I will take pictures of me wearing it when it is done. It will probably be a bit too big on me. I think that if I do it for myself, I will do the size, one size down, or mess up the gauge. We'll see, depending on the yarn I use. I say that as if I was really going to make a second one. I might, because I like it, but yeah, it's definitely not a plan for now, especially since I have a new project that I really want to cast on as soon as I finish the sweater, the art of transition. So, I have the impression that Andrea Maury is the designer that messes up all my plans. It is very typical that she will release a pattern and that I will just drop everything and do it, even though it was not planned. It's what happened with the Wool and Honey sweater, and it's what's happening with the Shifty sweater, which is her newest pattern. And it's a beautiful cropped yoke with mosaic knitting. I really love mosaic, and it's a fairly simple mosaic. It's mostly playing with texture, which I really like, because that's what mosaic is for, because you can do garter in it, you can do stock in it, and it still works. And she, yeah, that's a really lovely sweater, and I've been looking at it, and she uses yarns from Spin Cycle yarn, which is this sort of handspun barber pole looking yarn, which is really beautiful, and which obviously I would really like to try, but is awfully expensive. I understand the pricing for it because of the process, because of how unique it is, etc. But no matter how many reasons there are to justify the price of this yarn, I don't want to spend 250 euros on a sweater, and that's without shipping and possible taxes, because I'm in France. So I considered doing a bunch of things. I consider, like Andrea recommends, because if you look at the comments page on the pattern, a lot of people have mentioned this, that they would love to use Spin Cycle yarn, but not only is it expensive, it's also such a unique yarn that they don't have a lot of production, which is totally fine and normal. But yeah, people have asked for substitute suggestions, and Andrea mentioned that you could, I call her Andrea as if she was my friend, you know. This is Mari. No, Andrea Mari answered that you could like use a main color and then just use Spin Cycle for the contrast. I consider doing that because I would really like to try their yarn. I basically would really like to try a barber pool handspin look type of yarn. It's, yeah, or I need to spin it myself. I need to do something with that. But yeah, I considered doing that. Then you have the yarn, I believe it's called Crazy Sauerball, which I think it's the German brand. They make the same type of yarn really, it's a sock yarn originally, but it's more a gradient, and I didn't really, like, it has that 2-ply of different colors, crazy transition effect, but I believe it's a gradient in any case, and I'm not sure I wanted that. But I really wanted to make the sweater, and so I was looking at it, and I'm not sure. I was looking at what people used for the night shift, I believe, shawl and cowl, which is the previous patterns that Andrea Maury did on the same principle with mosaic texture and using spin cycle yarns. And yeah, I just thought, hey, I have a lot of single skeins of sock yarn that are crazy colors. Wouldn't that work? So I had a look in my stash and I found something. I found 3 skeins that I think look good together, that are variegated and speckled, and that would be fun to play with, but not too insane. And I'm going to show them to you. So they are all yarn from Knit Cosmic Strings, which are dyers. It's Fu and Bea, which are dyers from Edinburgh. It's their sock blend, so it's a superwash merino nylon. And yes, this is Nausicaa. This is Nest, I believe. Yes, Nest. And I think this is Frozen Lake. And I think they looked really good together, especially these two, obviously. And then I thought this one, so my thinking is to do it like this. Ooh. Do it like this, I think. I don't know. No, actually, you know what? No, because I just saw that there's a lot of blue in Nest, and that it kind of makes a good transition towards the purple of Nausicaa. And yeah, Nausicaa is a little bit more bright, which I think is nice because it's going to add some, well, brightness. But it's still, they all still kind of merge together, if that makes sense. I hope you can see what I'm doing, what I'm talking about. It's basically grey, purplish blue with specks of teal, pistachio greenish, and here bright pink and rust. But it's all kind of mauvey, purpley, grey stuff. Yeah, and I thought they really looked good together. So I have these, and I needed a background color, so I got these, and look how nice these look. I had a gift card for a yarn shop, a French yarn e-shop that stocks Arroyo base, so it's the sport weight base. It's superwash merino, and it is 305 meters. So the spin cycle yarn and the patterns calls for sport weight at a really tight gauge because of Musique, and I believe I talked about this before for my own designs as well. Musique knitting looks better tighter, so that's why it's. I think the gauge is like 30 stitches, and she tells you to use sport weight, so it's quite tight. I'm gonna swatch. Don't worry, I'm not gonna be insane on that one. But yes, this is the colorway Plomo. So lead, basically, lead, how do you say? Lead, the metal. And I thought that looked really good. So, like I said, this is sport weight, so this is good, but these are fingering weights, so I'll probably have to hold them double, which, well, will just make them look crazier, so I guess it works. Yeah, it will just blend the colors even more. I really want to swatch for this. I'm gonna make a really nice scholar swatch so that everything is right and everything looks good and neat, and I am sure of both my gauge but also of how things will look. But yeah, I thought this was nice, and I'm really excited about it. I haven't done a crazy color project in a while. Yeah, if you've been following me for some time, you know that I like neutrals and textures and classic cables and things, and then I also like this. So yeah, this is gonna be very joyful, and I'm very happy that I found a combo that, yes, is really fun, but at the same time I think it's gonna look really nice, and in the end these are colors that are when they're gonna blend all together, they're gonna be quite wearable, I think. So I'm looking forward to swatching, and I will show you how it looks when I do that. So yeah, really looking forward to it. Yeah, I can't wait to hear what you think. And yes, I think that's it for this episode. Yeah, I had quite a few things to say. I hope it's not too long, but that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely time, and I will see you soon with new projects to share.